Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It is Siete de Mayo, Bank de Cuatro, and this is episode 65.
Aren't we just full of second language?
Still celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I've still got Mexican food in my teeth.
You know what? That's why he looks so bad. He's not even mumbling right yet today.
Yes,
Steve, I know. I just thought I'd mention. I think he's still singing. Would you just pay attention to the board? Put
the Dos Equis down and get back to work.
Light a match. We'll all go up.
Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, for you non-Espanol speaking, this is May 7th, 2024, and episode 65. So anyway, we are
mucho gracias, Señor Rotter. I'm good at that, huh?
Gracias. Yes, absolutely. So how was your weekend?
How was my weekend?
Yes.
It was busy. Saturday, I facilitated for the Voiceover Academy our workout deal, and there ended up being 10 folks that showed up on Saturday. So it was busy, and so that was good to deal with. And then I had 2 or 3 hour break, and then I was on a guest on somebody else's podcast, and oh Lordy, I forgot the name of it.
Oh no.
Terrible. Oh yeah, I can't think of that. Anyway,
she wouldn't let you promote ours in it anyway. So what difference?
Yeah, it was Voices, Voices in the Kitchen, I think is what it's called.
Oh, I see.
Something like that. So I went over my recipe for tequila marinated chicken fajitas.
Oh wow!
Yummy. So, and I made those on Sunday. We went to our friends and.
For Cinco de Mayo, we are sticking with the
Cinco
theme.
De Mayo.
Yeah.
For that thing.
The Cinco.
I think I had 2 beers and a margarita. Woohoo! In about 5 hours. What a lush.
Yeah, well, we had to have Nancy drive him home. So,
she still hasn't driven yet since she's had the knee surgery. She's a little worried about being able to pick her leg up far enough to go from the gas over to the brake.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So we'll see.
So
yeah, it was kind of a busy weekend, and we watched the NASCAR race that was on in Kansas that almost got rained out. So that was about it for the weekend. I think that was plenty.
Yeah, I'd say.
What'd you do?
Well, this was our weekend for the grandbabies, and man, it's like every week they're doing something new, and they're interacting more and more. My the other grandmother sent a picture after we left the other day. She was there, sent a picture, and they had a trash bag full of clothes to bring to Goodwill or wherever they were going to bring them. And they somehow crawled out into the hallway and opened the bag and started sifting through all the stuff, I guess, to make sure that they weren't getting rid of anything they didn't want. It was just, the picture is just worth a 1,000 words. It's just beautiful. And those girls are just so interactive now. And they're just, we sat them down and gave them a banana, and they just sat there and ate that banana and looked at us and talked to us. And Chris has gotten to the point where he growls at them. So they growl back, and they're like little recording devices right now. And it's like, whatever you do, they do it back. So, about 2 months ago, one of them had this weird cough. They had COVID a couple months ago, so I think they had one of them still had a cough, and and it was almost like a fake cough, but it wasn't fake because 9-month-old girls don't fake coughs. So anyway, she went. And I just kind of looked at her, and she just kind of looked at me and half smiled. So I looked back at her, I go, and now it's like, it's a thing. So we do this every time we get together. I look at them and go, and they just go, And it's like, it's just.
Are they walking yet?
No, they are standing up on their own, and they are kind of walking assisted. So it's within a couple of weeks they're going to be walking.
Yeah, well, what are they going to, when's their birthday? They should be a year old in a couple, 3 weeks.
Yeah, May 19th, they'll be 1 year old.
Wow.
It's, the time has just gone by.
Year.
It has.
Wow.
I was just telling our friend Brad the other day, we were talking about how fast time goes, and, he's talking about his daughter. It's like, I can't even imagine that it's been a year since those babies were born. It's just like they went from little kidney beans that don't do anything but eat, sleep, and poop, and all of a sudden now they're just these interactive little machines, and it's amazing.
Oh, they were so tiny anyway when they showed up. I mean, when you have twins, that's often the case. Is they're not real big. Takes them a while to get rolling.
But combined, they were like 11 pounds. So, I mean, that was quite a bit of baby in there. And of course, Chris was 10 pounds, 2 ounces when he was born. But of course, my wife's a little itty bitty thing. So I was like, that wasn't gonna happen naturally. So they had to pull him out in a different place. But anyway, yeah, those babies are getting to be such a joy. So it's kind of fun. That was really all we did this weekend. I think Sunday we did something. I can't remember what it was. It had to be exciting because I can't remember what it was. But anyway, had to be.
It was just so much more than you can remember.
It was scintillating. Anyway. So, whenever possible, we like to start off with the wisdom from our commander-in-chief. And this week
we're still calling it wisdom? Okay.
Well,
sure.
I mean, sometimes I get a loss for words, so I use wisdom. So here is this, and this will not be disappointing.
It's Uncle Joe's Wisdom of the Week.
In Pennsylvania, I have a message for you. Send me to Congress that I can support this right, and I promise you, if we take back Congress, we will restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land.
All right, send him to Congress. I think that's a good idea. I mean, he might have to change offices, but send me to Congress. I've never heard a president say that. So, I mean, I think that's...
It's still in the same general facility, but then he's not there that much anyway.
That's true.
So.
That's true. He's had more vacations than any president in history. I guess if you count going to Delaware, but I mean, and he calls it a day by 4 p.m. So when you need a nap, you need a nap. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
And boy, I totally understand that. And I'm not even in my 80s yet. So
oh my gosh.
I'm just, practicing, so I'll be prepared.
There you go. You're going to be, if you start watching Uncle Joe, I think you're going to be okay. Anyway, send him to Congress. Do what he asks.
I thought he was running for president. Can you be both in Congress and president?
I don't think so. I don't. Yeah,
I don't think that's allowed. Yeah, no, that's not gonna.
But I mean, sometimes he gets confused. I mean, come on, falling upstairs, getting confused.
Sometimes,
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But
right now it's just
He's ready for 4 more years. 4 more years. Anyway, remember back in 2021, 2022, you kept hearing about misinformation and disinformation? We've got some news for you this week, especially if someone came out and criticized the mRNA jabs, which will probably get us canceled. So anyway, just for me saying that, Dr. Robert Malone, if you remember some of the history of this, he was one of the developers of the mRNA delivery system for vaccines. Of course, it had not been rolled out at all yet. I apologize. I still have this cough. It's still these blood clots, so maybe it'll discharge and go to my brain and nobody will notice. But anyway, when he did all he did back then was question the wisdom of using this technology when it hadn't been thoroughly tested and could have safety issues. Anyway, it could have, and that's really all he said. We just don't know. He was on the Dark Horse podcast. He was on Joe Rogan. They took all that stuff off the internet. Spotify took that off. YouTube, it just took it all off. So anyway, if you dared to question anything, which I don't think has ever really happened before, you questioned an election back in 2016, you were lauded and kind of paraded around all.
You were expected to.
Exactly. So anyway, our episode last week made it on YouTube for about an hour.
Yeah, it wasn't there very long.
Was not there very long. And they took it off because of the clip. If you heard last week's show, because of the clip we had of someone who has dug into the vaccine and how it has had its issues. But so they came back and they sent us a nice letter, email saying that this went against our policy, and because it took something that has been proven to be safe. You questioned it, and it's like, and we just took it as, well, it's a freaking election year. So,
yeah. Strike one.
Yeah, that's right. And it did show at the bottom. Did you see at the bottom? It showed 4 different places. So we've got strike one. Maybe we're moving on up.
We're somebody now.
So anyway, this misinformation.
And what's funny is after they did that, it was that afternoon, or was it the next day last week? I can't remember, but it was only a matter of hours after we were taken down. They had a tribunal of some sort over in Europe, and the AstraZeneca people were forced to admit that, it's caused more harm than good.
Yep. Well, it seems like
literally, they didn't say anything different than what we were saying or what our clip said.
Not at all. And not at all. It seems like Europe is being more honest about things than America can be. America is all like deny. And at least, and that's AstraZeneneca, but it was the same mRNA delivery system that Moderna and Pfizer has used over here in the U.S. So anyway, because of this is an election year, and of course that email showed the word misinformation to us. And anyway, the EU president, Ursula von der Leyen, I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, she had a speech the other day, and somehow misinformation and disinformation came up. At first, I was like, I can't believe I'm agreeing with her. But as it went on, then you kind of got the rest of the context.
Yeah.
Of course, like in all democracies, our freedom comes with risks. There will always be those who try to exploit our openness, both from inside and out. There will always be attempts to push us off track, for example, with disinformation and misinformation.
It's an election year. There we go. That word, mark my words, you're going to hear this on the news. You're going to hear this on national media. You're going to hear this all over the place. So.
Well, yeah, you're going to hear it mostly on, those that are owned just like the, when they were saying, oh, you need to take this jab, whatever. And it was the same exact script on 36 different stations across the country.
We ought to see if we can find that clip again, because that was really good.
The start of that, the people that were on the start, you saw CBS 2 News, whatever.
Yeah.
That's our CBS 2 News.
Oh, is it really? Oh, interesting. Yes. I know there was one of them in there that was one of our Atlanta affiliates, but yeah, I mean, it's copy and pasted from the federal government. This is what the script you're going to say on TV. And I don't know if you remember back in 2020, 2021, it's like every news story almost had something to do with COVID. I remember people talking about, well, that's a drinking game. Anytime anybody says coronavirus or COVID, then you got to take a shot. I mean, people would be more dead from that than they would have been from I don't know. Personally, I've not known anybody that died from COVID, and maybe I'm just lucky. But I don't know anybody that died from COVID. I know people that died with COVID. I know people that I've read stories about people getting struck by lightning and died, and that counted as a COVID death. Our friend Charlie down in Florida sent me an article about somebody, I think it was in Fort Lauderdale. He was on his roof doing something. He got struck by lightning and he died, and they found out he had COVID when he got struck by lightning. Of course, he had no symptoms, but they counted that as a COVID death because the hospitals got a little bit of money kickback. Whenever you incentivize something like that, that's the way that works.
That's how it got reported. It got that done that right there. Gee, Christmas, I must be catching your disease. Stay off of my mic. I don't know.
You're killing me.
I talks real good for a living if it's in writing. If it ain't, well,
it don't matter whether you got COVID or not. We're gonna make sure that anyway. You got
anyway, yeah. So we were
We got canceled.
Shanghaied, and yeah, it happened. So if you were looking for us on YouTube last week, it wasn't because we didn't post something.
You had about 45 minutes to hear an hour and 10-minute podcast. So yeah, you didn't hear the whole thing one way or the other. Very interesting. So we'll see how, now that we brought it up again, we'll see how long we last this year or this week.
Two.
None of this would surprise me. So anyway, we're up against a break already. Holy crap. When we come back,
we babble way too much.
We do.
Anyway,
when we come back, we're going to hear from Deputy Prime Minister of Canada and her inspiring words, which almost sound like she's a Debbie Downer. Let's just put it that way. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. More of the Stay Off My Lawn podcast is coming up.
sometimes you need a big boost to get through your day.
So grab a flavored extra strength 5-hour energy shot. It's packed with a big energy blend in a small bottle. Really, that's the only thing small about it. Take a flavored 5-hour energy shot and wake the up.
Hi, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2. By the way, if you need to contact us or you have any questions or anything for us, our email address is soml@duck.com. Our phone number, if you want to call and leave us a voicemail, is 770-727-6443. And that's open 24 hours a day, and I will never answer that, to be honest with you, but it shows up on the computer when I get up. So, I mean, I'm an old guy, so I sleep a little bit. And,
Let us know what your thoughts are. We've had some wonderful comments of late, so we do appreciate it.
we sure have.
My
yeah.
story that I did was well received. There were
Oh, my
several that
gosh.
just thought it was hilarious. So,
I'm
on being tased, yes.
My wife laughed her full head off, and my friend out in California said that he was dying laughing from it. So Richard did a great job on that. So
Well, there was a lot of up close and personal experience involved with understanding how it worked that way.
was that episode 62 or 63? I can't remember. I think it was 62.
it might have been 62.
Yeah. So anyway, go back and listen to that one. We need more listens anyway. So
Yeah, go back and check it out since you couldn't hear the one on YouTube last week.
Not
By the
this
way,
week.
if you can't hear the one on YouTube, go to Rumble.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, I don't know if full episodes are up on Rumble. The only thing I know that are up there is the
Promos?
promos.
Okay.
So I guess we could start putting the full
We may
episodes
need
up there.
to start just
Because
sending it there as well.
they don't, as of now, they don't stop anything. They allow free speech. They are First Amendment people over there at Rumble, and we do appreciate them. So a lot of good content over there. Anyway, Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, her name is Chrystia Freeland. I had never heard of this woman before. I never thought about the Deputy Prime Minister of Canada.
I have friends in Canada. Oh no, I've heard her name. She is just so well.
Yeah. Almost as much as Justin. Anyway, she spoke at the graduation ceremony of Northeastern University. It's up in Boston, for those of you playing at home, and had such encouraging words. Very upbeat message. I mean, sit back and relax and enjoy this message from Chrystia Freeland.
Our time of tranquility is over, and we are living in an age of change. We're living through what President Biden, on a visit to my country in March, called an inflection point. A time of transformation, he said, that comes once every 5 or 6 generations. Now, like it or not, you are graduating into that inflection point. What is this inflection point? What is this upheaval which is going to the roots of humanity itself? There are many ways to describe this transformational moment, but I think they all come down to one fundamental question. Does capitalist democracy still work? That's the question being posed around kitchen tables in my country and this one, as parents wonder if our children can count on capitalist democracy's essential promise of a future more prosperous than our present? It is the question being posed by our shrinking glaciers and our warming oceans, which are asking us, wordlessly but emphatically, if democratic societies can rise to the existential challenge of climate change.
Oh my gosh. You know, her and Justin Trudeau both are so into this whole climate change thing.
Well, they're into the you won't own anything. We're going to build all these houses and you'll rent from the government and you'll be happy. You won't own a thing.
Yeah.
And bullpucky, that's not freedom. It's like, well, this freedom thing has gone on long enough. Yep. You don't really need to have that anymore. Really? That's just essentially what she said. You know, the freedom, we're in turmoil now because that's right. They caused the turmoil.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it brings me back to thinking about Klaus Schwab and who's the other guy over there? The World Economic Forum people. I think it was Klaus Schwab that said you won't own any property eventually, and you'll like it. And my wife sent me an article. It was actually a couple of weeks ago about Metro Atlanta. That one in 9 properties in Metro Atlanta has been bought up by an investment firm and is up for lease now instead of being able for people to buy. We're one of the worst places in the country as far as this kind of thing goes. They have really been focusing on the suburbs, and you know, it's like I get things in the mail. And you may too, in most places in the country maybe, but I get stuff from We Buy Ugly Houses, the Homevestors, all these different places that want to buy your house for 10%, 15% above market value. And all the reason is so they can turn around and put it up for lease and take the ownership of the American dream of owning a house and living in your own house out of the whole picture. And this kind of goes back to Klaus Schwab and what he said. So,
yep.
I don't know.
Just as I did find that, by the way, I sent that to you in Instagram with the 36 stations that it starts out one guy talking and then it just goes goes. And all of a sudden, I found it.
Oh, did you find it? Good. We'll play that next week for sure. But yeah, and being an election year, and we said this last segment, you know, we are going to see the same kind of crap that we saw in 2020. We're going to see a lot of this whole, everybody's going to have the same message because you know that the mainstream media now, if you've been paying even a little bit of attention, you know that everybody's complicit with the U.S. government now, and it's by twisting their arm, and maybe they're just going, you know, we'll do whatever you say, boss man, and just they're putting on all this propaganda, and it's only just begun. I mean, I think we're going to see it.
And it's not going over well. They keep trying. I think it's kind of funny, actually. They keep trying to prosecute Trump over made-up stuff that 4 years ago they went, he's going to lose. We've got it in the bag. And so it's no big deal. They looked at it and went, don't worry about it. Well, now they brought it all back up again, and it's all made-up stuff. And then you've got the prosecutor who just was found out to be misleading in the way that they had planted information and had neglected to tell the courts about stuff that they knew that they didn't disclose and should have. And it's all just, it's political stuff. And every time they try to do something with him, Trump's
he comes out better.
Numbers just keeps going up, but I'm just kind of watching this going, I don't think they're getting it yet because they're still trying to push things.
Wasn't there somebody involved in that New York trial though that had paid off somebody for something, like another hush money scandal? Somebody involved did that. And maybe I'm not remembering the news story correctly, but anyway, you know, all these people in those positions, you know, I think that's kind of the way they work because, you know, you get involved in that power, and I don't think Trump's above that. Then you start believing your own press, and it's terrible. But anyway, speaking of the climate crazies that we have in this country, our friend Senator John Kennedy asked some pretty tough questions of Dr. Jeffrey Serpan. I never heard of this guy, but he's the director of the Climate Accountability Lab at the University of Miami. And
they have to be accountable in a lab for the climate?
Well, I mean, it didn't work in Wuhan, so why not? The language got kind of salty at times, so forgive the edits. It is a family show, however, so I edited out as much as I could, but Kennedy did not hold back. This is really good. So this is about 2.5 minutes, but you're going to like it.
Dr. Superman, let me ask you a couple of questions. You're here at the request of my Democratic colleagues?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Dr. Superman, on December 14, 2023, you tweeted in support of climate defiance. That's an entity that the Brookings Institute has called a radical climate change group. Is that correct?
I don't recall, I'm afraid.
Okay. Would this be the same climate defiance that I'm looking at your tweet, you tweeted in support of them. Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Joe Biden, quote, a sick fuck?
I don't know, but as I
Would this
mentioned
be the same climate defiance that called Senator Lisa Murkowski a murderer?
I do not know. As I said in my statement...
Would this be the same climate defiance who told the CEO of Exxon to, quote, eat shit, Darren, close quote?
I'm not responsible for the statements of other
nice
people.
Group you're
and I also
hanging
do not
around
know the
with,
answer.
Doc. Here's what your tweet says, quote, we do, in support of climate defiance, we do not do online petitions. We do not do NGO coalition letters. We do not do fucking bus stop ads. We chase fossil fuel CEOs and the politicians who do their bidding, and we do not apologize, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
That is not my tweet, sir.
That is your tweet. I'm looking at it. Here's a copy right here. It's right off your website, Biggest Dallas. On October 31, 2023, you said this on Twitter. Quote, climate justice was coined by our movements to locate it as a struggle against genocidal racial injustice, colonialism, and apartheid. If your climate justice doesn't stand with the Palestinians against colonialism and apartheid, then your climate justice has no justice in it, close quote. Did you say that?
I believe not.
Here it is,
may I please see the documents?
Yes, sir, and the witnesses' documents there.
May I please point out that this form of...
The senator's time has expired and there are other senators waiting.
I've got a bunch more tweets. Thank you for your objective advice,
I'm sure you
Doc.
do. You can put them into a question for the record and...
Yes, I'd like to submit all of the good doctors' objective tweets and scientific analysis for the record.
Scientific analysis. Just so you know, when you retweet something, you're basically endorsing that 100%.
That wasn't my tweet.
That wasn't my tweet.
No, it was. You went, oh, I like this well enough that I think others need to know about this.
Exactly.
And it's like, I'm sorry, all this stuff. I saw he's a farmer back east somewhere, and now he's it's either the Senate or the House. I can't recall. But he was asking questions of these people that were climate folks for the government and wanted to know how much is the CO2 level. What is it? One lady went, well, let's see. I know that cars cost 49% of it, so I'm going to say 8% or 10% or something like that. It was all these people. It's 8, 10, I don't care, 1%. No, you're all wrong. It's 0.04, not 4/10, 4/100 of a percent.
That's right.
Is what it is.
Yeah, and whenever we've seen, and we've actually played clips about this before, whenever we've seen that in the past, according to these core drills and everything that they found, that when the CO2 is up, the rest of the planet flourishes. You've got crops.
Greener.
Yeah, it gets greener. So I mean, CO2 is not an enemy here.
No. At 0.02, now you're going to have crops that are going to fail. You're going to have plant life is going to start dying off because they need that. It would be like you cut off our oxygen, it's going to be the same problem.
Right.
And you can't do that with plants.
Yeah. And with the higher percentage of people or the higher numbers of people on the planet, you're going to want more oxygen in the atmosphere, which those trees and crops all give off. And it's like, it's basic science. And everybody's like, oh, you're a science denier. And not at all.
Nope.
And I do have a little bit of background here that according to Influence Watch, which is kind of a watchdog organization that investigates these radical groups that Senator Kennedy was talking about, the Climate Defiance is a climate activist group founded in March of 2023 focused on young adults. The group engages in direct disruption such as strikes, blockades, and mass occupations to gain media and public attention. In the initial 3 months since its creation, Climate Defiance has organized several disruptive protests, all opposing fossil fuel drilling on public lands. A large amount of its funding comes from the Climate Energy Fund, or Emergency Fund, an organization that funnels money from wealthy liberals such as Abigail Disney and oil heiress Aileen Getty Foundation, to environmentalist activist groups, including Sunrise Movement, Extinction Rebellion, and Just Stop Oil. And I think if you remember, the Just Stop Oil people are the ones who throw the tomato soup on these priceless paintings.
And paintings. I saw some of that yesterday, and they took a box cutter. I'm hoping it was just a reproduction, but it's just that has no right to be doing that. But I think they're the same ones who set out on the highway and block stuff. And people have had enough of that garbage too.
I think so. Yeah, especially the Europeans. They're not putting up with that crap anymore.
Yeah, at all.
The Palestinians were brought up there at the end, and we are out of time for this segment. So when we come back, we're gonna look at the Palestinian situation we got going on. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
The Stay Off My Lawn podcast is recorded before a live studio audience.
Hi, everybody. This is Wolfman Jack for Clearasil. And have we got a great offer for you? A super record album by my good friends, the Stylistics, brought to you by the Clearasil people. It includes hit songs like Let's Get It All Together and You Make Me Feel Brand New, plus 8 other biggies. All you got to do to get it is send a box top from Clearasil and a check or money order for $1.99 with your name and address to Clearasil, Wolftown, Virginia. Allow 6 weeks for delivery, cause the mailman, he got to walk.
Hi, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn. We are at the halfway mark. Glad to have you still with us. You're still awake out there, right? Is this thing on?
Stop that, Steve. Stay awake. We're almost done. I
told him.
I already said it. Now,
I threw away his Dos Equis when I was in there last time. Anyway, the Palestinians, speaking of the Palestinians, and supposedly yesterday there was a ceasefire agreed to by the Palestinians. So I don't know what the future is on all that, but normally ceasefires don't last very long in that region. But we'll try to remain hopeful. Joe Biden is floating the idea of wanting to accept Palestinian refugees from Gaza into the U.S. because the Afghanistanian refugees that worked out so well. Somebody said that the cost for all that would be about $350 billion. So we've got to really crank up those printing presses and get some more money printed.
Well, and they don't vet anybody. Just if you can get on the plane, you go. We don't know who any of these people are. Give me a break.
But in a lot of these countries, they don't have processes like we have in the U.S. We assume that everybody gets issued a birth certificate at birth. They get everybody is put into the system, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't happen in a lot of places. People get born at home and the government doesn't even know you exist. And when you go to fill out a job application, there's no social security number. They just go, okay, well, we'll pay you $10 a day to pick these crops or to do whatever. I mean, according to the system, you don't exist. So you can't vet somebody who doesn't exist in the system. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think as far as these Gaza people, we might as well just give them another 6 months and let them end up in Eagle Pass, Texas anyway, or flown to Chicago from Guatemala. I mean, there's all kinds of avenues, I guess. But
I don't care what anybody says. We need immigration. No, we need legal immigration. I have no problem with that. And that needs to be reformed so it doesn't take somebody a year or 5 to actually get into the country. And that's why would you want to do that? Just walk across the border and you get handed, they're talking in New York, giving them MasterCard, Visa card, whatever, debit type cards of $1,400 or $1,500 a month, $1,400 maybe per person. Yeah. So if you got mom, dad, and 2 kids, you're making a pretty good living.
Yeah. And I know it's expensive to live there, but I mean, they put them up in hotels, so they don't have any monthly expense as far as that goes. They're just hitting taco trucks or hot dog stands. I mean, and they're eating just fine. And that was
they're complaining because it's not their type of food.
And I think that's where the debit cards. I think that's where the debit cards came in, because they said they didn't like the food that they were being given, even though it's free, and they live in the most free country in the world. And now it's like it's just not good enough, and so that was part of the reason why the debit card thing started, so they could buy their own food. Whatever,
well, what do you think is going to happen if the election goes and they're not trotting? Biden's not doing any. What do you call it when you're out stumping or whatever? Yeah. He's not doing any of that at all.
Right.
And
campaigning.
Because they think, oh, well, we've got this in the bag. We know how to do this. Now, we did it the last time 4 years ago with enough stuff going through. We need to get out there and vote. Everybody needs to be out there and do their part, but it's just not going well, because when the election is done, there's stuff, even if it's D's or R's that win, and their stuff's going to get cut off because they've been used. Yeah, we got our use out of you. That we're not doing this anymore. It's too expensive, and now you're going to have riots and all kinds of major problems.
Oh yeah, if Trump wins, I mean, we're going to see a lot of cities burn, because all those paid protesters are going to get called up. It's like, let's do this.
Living in the big blue cities, and it's not going over well. And right now, California's not doing well either. They're having the repercussions of the whichever.
Go either way.
Reaper, whatever.
Reaper sounds right.
That $20
minimum wage.
Minimum wage for the workers in fast food stuff is just killing the economy, because businesses are just we can't have a decent price product, and they're just shutting down. There's not very many of them making it, and they're laying off. Thousands are getting not a few here and there. No, thousands are getting laid off, and they're having to figure out other things, and they're putting in automated stuff as fast as they can do it, because now it's cost equal to or less than trying to hire somebody to flip a burger for $20 a pop, when you can have the whole process done. I saw, I don't think it was a McDonald's, I can't remember, but it might have been close to that, where the order went in and somebody made sure the order was in, and then the robot started and it just went through the process, and here it is. And you had like 2 people running the whole show.
Yeah. And I think that McDonald's, I read an article recently that McDonald's had planned on doing that anyway, but with this $20 an hour edict that Greasy Gavin put down, I think that's where they have kind of moved that forward a little bit. And there's a lot of McDonald's going that way. And you think about it, the larger corporations aren't going to get shut down. It's all these mom and pop businesses that can't afford, they don't have those kind of margins. They can't afford to pay those people $20 an hour. I mean,
there was a Frosty something, I forget what it's called. I'm not familiar with stuff in California, and they had like 15, 20 locations, something like, not huge, but that's a pretty successful ownership of stuff when you've got that much going. And people showed up after that $20 started and the doors were locked.
Yep.
They just shut everything down and said, we just can't. We have been trying to figure this out, and we don't have a way to do it.
Well, that and then all those corporations in San Francisco are moving out. They're all closing their doors. And of course, there's that legislation that they're trying to tax people that are and businesses that when they shut their doors and move out of the state, they're going to try to tax them. I don't know if that ever went through or not. I meant to look that up.
It sounded like it was going to, and then I didn't hear any more about it. I think somebody looked at it and went, it's going to get shut down by the courts, so why waste our time?
Totally unconstitutional. There's no way that could
But that's the only way that the liberal folks know how to govern is we need to tax more.
Yep.
We don't have a spending problem. We have a taxation problem. So we need to tax you more because that's going to work. When just the opposite has been proven. When you reduce the taxes, there's money for other things,
Absolutely.
and the economy goes boom. You keep taxing, and the economy keeps going down the tubers, just what it's doing now.
Like we were talking about last week with the Trump tax cuts when they expire. Of course, KJP is out there backing up Joe Biden, saying that they're not going to. Nobody that makes less than $400,000 is gonna get higher taxes. But the numbers have been run. If you let the Trump tax cuts expire, everybody's taxes are going up. Whether and we went through a lot of the scenarios, just about every category. I don't know of a category that doesn't. They said a single person making $30,000 a year is going to see an increase in their taxes. If that happens, everybody's getting, because $30,000 a year is not what it used to be.
No.
So anyway,
it's not going in the right direction, and it still isn't. And inflation is another tax in itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, Reagan coined that years ago. So, yeah, for sure. It's a hidden
And
tax
in
is what
actual
he called
fact,
it.
it costs that much more. And as our friend Milton Freeman says, there's only one place that inflation is made and created. Not created by the unions. It's not created by business. It's not created by manufacturers. It's nothing but the government printing too much money and spending more than they have.
Yeah, and lay some of this at Trump's feet because of the pandemic. They printed, that was just part of the beginning of the $6 trillion that they printed over the whole COVID fiasco. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we were talking about the campaign and everything. When Uncle Joe was asked a question about illegal immigration when he was running in 2007, he had this to say.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
No. No, of course not. But in 2020, when he was running for president, this is what he had to say.
Should undocumented immigrants arrested by local police be turned over to immigration officials?
No.
So flip-floppy. I mean, I think that's the way they describe his brain there in Washington, D.C. It's a little flip-floppy, and, you get gum stuck to the bottom of your flip-flop and things just start. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, Lord, it keep switching it, and this is what the party says you need to say and do, and that's kind of what's been taking place.
Yep, absolutely.
Follow the line.
Now, as far as the Gazans coming in illegally, or Joe's plans on bringing the Gazans in, Ron DeSantis was asked about this the other day, and he had a good response. So here's Ron DeSantis.
There was a report out that Joe Biden is contemplating importing a bunch of Palestinian Arabs from the Gaza Strip into the United States of America. And I didn't even think Biden was crazy enough to do this. That is not in this country's interest. What we've seen over there, and we've seen the reflections in our own society of people out protesting in favor of Hamas terrorists. I mean, these are people that cooked babies in ovens while they were raping the babies' mothers, executing elderly people. We forget about what happened that day on October 7th, but that's what we're dealing with here. And to take people from that part of the world and import those blood feuds to this country, that is not in your interest or your family's interest. We should not be importing people in from the Gaza Strip. And so I hope that report is wrong. I think if he does that, it is not going to be something that benefits the United States of America. If anything, it'll just exacerbate a lot of the problems that we're seeing now. And, look, people can say what they want. I mean, it is a free country. But I also think about, okay, what does it say about our society that people would go out and demonstrate and take Hamas's side in this? That's a sickness that we see on these college campuses, but we also see the sickness in some of these other institutions in our society. And so I think part of what we need to do to unify the country going forward is to have people that actually want to assimilate into America, that actually believe in our founding principles, not people that just want to replicate a lot of these blood feuds that we see in other parts of the world. So our view in Florida on bringing in people from Gaza is no.
Yeah.
Because you're not just bringing in Palestinians or people from Gaza, you're bringing in Hamas.
Absolutely.
Let's get serious. That's who you're bringing in.
They elected Hamas 90% when they had their last election. I guess if you can count on their elections, I don't know whether Dominion voting was involved or not, but he's absolutely right. Immigration to the U.S. used to be people that saw the American dream and wanted to be a part of it. Now people are just coming in to get free stuff, or to whatever. I just
word gets around quick that hey, you go there and the streets are paved with gold, and you can sit on your butt and do nothing, and they give you money,
and it works. They get shipped anywhere in the country they want to go. They go to Chicago, they go to Denver, Boston, New York City, wherever they want to go. And the administration has been funding all this. It's just crazy. By the way, Google has taken down a Trump ad. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
No, I hadn't heard that one. I've missed.
They say it violates their guidelines, and this is a Trump ad that I don't know if it's playing. It's probably on Rumble, so you can probably find it there. But here is the Trump ad.
Hello, I'm with the Biden campaign.
Yeah, I voted for Biden last time.
That's fantastic.
Is it? Everything costs more. Food, gas, rent.
Okay, but Biden's helping pay rent for newcomers to America from around the world.
You mean illegal immigrants? I'm struggling to pay my bills, but Biden's paying rent for illegals? They get handouts and I'm paying for it.
But Biden can still count on your vote, right?
Things were better before Biden. I'm voting for Trump.
Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
So they hated that for some reason. I guess the word illegal triggered their little feelings.
Oh, really? The truth hurts, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
Of
Give
course,
me a break.
While Biden tells so many made up stories, you can't even keep up with it. Like this one, he's spun a number of times. He's thrown it out there again last week. So this is that little clip.
And teaching is not what you do; it's who you are. It's who you are. No, for real, I know that. Believe me, I know that. By the way, I actually taught for a number of years in law school, and then I was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania.
Of course, he never taught one class at the University of Pennsylvania.
Or anywhere else, for that matter.
No.
And at the University of Pennsylvania, he made $1 million just to have his name
on a door somewhere, right?
Yeah. And never went there.
Gosh, he's just such... I just don't know about this guy. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to hear some from Nancy Pelosi as she got a little perturbed at MSNBC. It's very, 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 very sad to see mom and dad fight like that. So anyway, hang in there. We'll be right back.
I'm Charmaine Davies, and if you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, I suggest you stay off my lawn. Well, no, not my lawn. It's a podcast called Stay Off My Lawn, which is absolutely brilliant. It's funny, it's informative. The guys that present it are just amazing. So that's everything you need in a podcast, I think. So go over to Stay Off My Lawn. It's brilliant. Make it your guilty pleasure. It's definitely mine.
Rock Legends Journey bring their Freedom Tour 2024 to venues across the UK in October and November.
Don't stop believing.
With very special guests, Cheap Trick.
I want you to want me.
The epic tour kicks off at the Utilita Arena in Cardiff on October the 30th and culminates at the O2 in London on November the 17th. Tickets are on sale now at aegp.uk/journey. For the chance to win tickets to see Journey and Cheap Trick on the Freedom Tour 2024, visit radiocaroline.co.uk and enter our free online draw.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. Hey, if you made it this far, you might as well just hang in there.
Just hang in for the end. It's not that much more.
We've got a clip of mom and dad fighting here. This is we wanted to play this last week because actually it was out, I think, last Monday, but we actually ran out of time. But here's Nancy Pelosi being interviewed by MSNBC, and boy, if you see the video of this, she was even through those little vodka-soaked eyes. I mean, she was so mad.
I'm surprised you couldn't see the steam coming out of her ears because she was hot.
If the vodka hadn't dried her out so much, you would have seen the actual steam come out. But I think there's too much dryness going on there. But anyway, here's Nancy Pelosi.
Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role.
Gosh, she was so mad.
You want to be an apologist, and it's like, nobody's apologizing. These are the facts that you're taking and flipping around because your party is the one who canceled all these people's jobs and you couldn't go to work and if you got the jab unless you did that and all the other edicts you were putting out in all these blue states. I'm fortunate to live in a relatively free state where there was some stuff going on because they weren't sure. I mean,
of course.
Nobody was real sure on the whole thing, and what the BS they were being fed was just that. And people are going, go ahead, try another one of these again. Not going to happen.
No, I hope if Trump gets back in there, I hope he learned his lesson as far as handing the keys over to anybody like he did with Fauci. And I lay that right at his feet. That was a terrible decision. But I mean, with Georgia, of course, I don't know if you remember this, but it's like we were one of the first ones to open a handful of places up. Georgia was, and it's like Brian Kemp went out there and said, you can go back to gyms, you can go back to tattoo parlors. It was a weird list, I'll be honest with you, but it's like he just said, basically we're going to start opening things back up, and then a lot of the other red states kind of followed suit. And he took a lot of heat for that. Of course, he's like, wow, that stupid redneck down in Georgia. You just can't trust them redneck people. Of course, Brian is a little bit of a redneck, and I think that's part of the reason I love him so much. But yeah, I mean, everybody, I understand. And we were talking about this off the air. We didn't know what we were dealing with. And even red state governors, Greg Abbott, made some terrible decisions as far as shutdowns and stuff. But,
the sad thing is that Fauci knew what was being dealt with. He knew where it came from. He funded it and was like, me? What? Oh, no, I don't. Yeah, we're going to need to do this. Yeah, let's do this.
But I like being on camera. I'm going to stand up here and talk to the people. And you could tell he loved being. There was a picture of him being interviewed on a Zoom call. And it was a picture from like the doorway or whatever. And he's got a big picture of himself on the wall next to him where he was, of himself. Who does that? I mean,
a narcissist, I think is what they're called.
I think that's exactly what they're called. So anyway, and I don't believe this is going to be the last pandemic of our lifetime. There is supposed pandemic. I put that in air quotes, I guess. But they're going to try this again. It's going to happen again. So, I mean, we just have to be prepared and understand what happened last time. And let's not be so forgiving. I'm a very forgiving person, but when it comes to that kind of thing, you don't screw me over a second time. And I hope a lot of people kind of see, you screw me over once, shame on you. Screw me over twice, that's shame on me. I don't think as an American populace, we should put up with it again. But
yeah, I don't think some of that's going. And the numbers from the government on job growth and stuff is just a crock of BS. You can't, those numbers are so fudged, it's not even funny. 2/3 of the numbers for 1 month of, half to 2/3 of them were all government jobs. That doesn't do anything for our economy at all. Zip nine, not a zilch, but be a drag on it.
I was going to say, if anything, it draws money out of the federal coffers. So it makes things even worse. Speaking of the dumpster fire, I mean the economy as it continues to burn. Let's hear words from an expert. This is Jared Bernstein. I don't know if you've seen this or not. I think you have. Who is an American economist who is right now is the chair of the United States Council of Economic Advisors. He is also a senior fellow at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. And from 2009 to 2011, Bernstein was the chief economist and economic advisor to then Vice President Joe Biden in the Obama administration. Boy, he
should know his stuff, right? I mean, he's up on everything, right?
That's what they say. But when asked about things, this is how he responded.
Government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets. Some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
No, just nothing confusing there.
Nothing confusing at all.
Oh my gosh, that's an expert now.
I'm so glad you gave us all his credentials, so he was built up really well to what? He didn't say anything in that whole clip. It just went in circles. And I think that's what isn't that what they do? Yeah, no, I think that's right. They do that.
Do they sell bonds? Yeah, I think they sell bonds. Anyway, his educational background is a bachelor's degree in music from Manhattan School of Music. He has a master's from Hunter College in social work, as well as a doctorate in social work from Columbia. Nothing to do with economics. I don't understand why he got put in charge of any kind of economics. He doesn't seem to understand.
And he's not even a diversity hire, for crying out loud. He's just an inept hire.
Freaking white guy. I mean, oh my gosh.
Wow. Oh my God, that was entertaining.
I
was having fun mocking him while you guys were listening.
Oh my God. Yeah. Richard and I do this over Zoom so we can see each other, and it's like, whew. Richard was killing me over there. So anyway, he's got a bachelor's degree in music and as well as all the other stuff in social work. So that makes him an economist in Washington D.C. terms, apparently. So that's your words of wisdom from Washington D.C. wonks, these number crunchers that are actually musicians. So anyway.
Just a good old boy that knew somebody that said, hey, you need to hire him because he gave a lot of money to or was involved in this. So now you need to find him a job in your cabinet.
Somebody owed somebody a favor, obviously. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Boy, they must have owed a big favor somewhere.
My God, it's just...
Wowzer,
it's incredible.
Not right.
For him to kind of be so thrown by... what happens when the government prints money? I think he was told, you better not say that causes inflation. You better not say it. and I think that he was just kind of like, but it does, and I can't say it. And it's I don't know. I'm assuming.
I don't know if he even knows that.
He may not know that. Yeah.
There's not a musical note attached to it, so.
Yeah. No G clef. So we had no idea. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
anyway.
Lord almighty, that was hilarious.
We have laughed a lot more this
week. He was stammering and still trying to talk, and he was trying to come up with an answer while he was talking, and he never had an answer. Nope. And I'm the interviewer had to be just going, huh?
I like that internal dialogue that he had externally. Is that what they do?
That's what it was.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate the honesty that he doesn't know. So, I mean, okay. You don't know.
Okay, well, we've had just a lovely... Did you have anything else?
No, that's it. We introduce our palate cleanser. You've got a great palate cleanser.
Oh, yeah. We did this for Labor Day last year. I had found it. This was something from the beginning of the summer that I didn't see until the end of summer when the last hurrah of barbecuing is usually a Memorial Day or Labor Day, rather. So May is kind of a lot of places, like for you down south, it's getting warmer. Right. It's getting warmer here. We're going to be at 85 degrees this weekend, and we were only 55 yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So,
the other day we made it to 88. So, I mean, I think today we're supposed to be 80.
I grill year round. So, I'm one of these idiots that if it's 40 degrees, the wind's not blowing, I'll go out and cook something for the wife because there's certain things that she goes, Can you grill? She doesn't want it in the house.
Well, she knows what your answer is going to be. So, I mean, that's kind of a rhetorical
I
question.
love to grill. I'll go. And she looked out and goes, oh, the wind's blowing too much. I said, well, it's not that bad. But when it's 40 degrees and the wind blows, you can't keep the heat.
Oh, gosh.
I have a solution for that now. There was a sale on welding blankets. And I'm going to lay that over top of the grill. That's going to help keep the heat in the winter time.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, I'm such a nerd. Anyway,
it's beautiful. Though. We've already been grilling this year ourselves here. Like I said, we've been in the 80s for a few weeks now, and so I'm very happy.
All right, so this is etiquette at a backyard barbecue. Sunny summer days are made for backyard barbecues. So let's review these 5 basic backyard cookout behaviors for a final big cookout bash of the summer in an article written by Bill Lindsay titled Barbecue Manners. Number 1, there can only be one chef. When attending a barbecue as a guest, resist the urge to share your grilling techniques with the host or hostess. Everyone has his or her own way of doing things, but it's insufferably rude to act as if only you know the correct way to grill food. Even if you've won the World Series of Barbecue, sit back, enjoy the food, and be sure and compliment the chef. Number 2. No surprises. Now, when you're invited to a barbecue, it isn't rude to ask if you can bring a +1. But it is rude to simply assume it's okay to do so and startle your host. Make a point of arriving within 10 minutes of the time provided by your host. Arriving too early, it can interrupt the setup process. And arriving an hour or so late just shows a lack of respect. Number 3, bring something. Even if your host says that you don't need to bring anything, don't show up for a barbecue empty-handed. Napkins or paper towels are items that will always be appreciated, as are dessert items such as cookies or a pie. If you have dietary restrictions, let the host know when you accept the invitation and bring something that you can eat discreetly without making a fuss or embarrassing the host. Number 4, be social. A casual barbecue is a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with old friends and possibly make a few new ones. If you're the host, your first job is to make sure that all the guests are comfortable and enjoying themselves. If you see a shy guest, buzz on over and make them feel welcome by introducing them to the others. As a guest, say hello to everyone to enhance your enjoyment as well as theirs. Number 5, be appropriate. A family get-together isn't the same as a bunch of college buddies having a reunion, and it calls for a much different kind of behavior, regardless of whether the crowd is made up of family, close friends, or folks whom you've just met. Respectful, polite behavior is always the best option. Refrain from cursing. This is never appropriate, as is overindulging in adult beverages. Don't appoint yourself the party DJ either. Leave only smiles in your wake. I hope that Mr. Lindsay's list invites you to pause and think about how to have fun with others in a respectful, social manner. Now, get out there and enjoy some awesome home-cooked grilled food. Not to mention maybe a game or two of cornhole or horseshoes or whatever other family traditions you might enjoy.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's beautiful stuff. Yeah, don't drink too much. And, if you're going to come to my house, we're going to have I Heart 80s on. And don't complain because that's what I want. So
it's my house, my grill, my rules. Tough beaners.
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, you have a cookout at your house. There are some etiquette. And it's that kind of covers the whole gamut there. Buzz on over to somebody who doesn't want to talk. Chances are that's me over there in the corner. So keep to yourself. I don't want to hear it. So, oh gosh.
Oh, God, I was having fun making faces on this one, too. Anyway, it's been a wonderful day. We got our stuff and we're off and running today.
Yeah, we did pretty good today, and my face hurts from laughing, so that's always a good thing. We hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google, sometimes on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and Miss A, of course. And we are going to try to upload things to Rumble. I think we are going to migrate over to Rumble, so we'll see how that goes. So,
all right. And if you just want to, you can just go to our website at stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
And we'll see you next week, folks.
Toodles. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.